There's the world's best chocolate cake.
Not so bad. It is really good. The mascarpone, worth the detour.
Hey there, it's Amanda, and it's Monday, and I am just casually walking around in my kitchen with my new cookbook and also making a recipe in the middle of the workday. I am making, I did want you to see this, so I'm very happy it's out now, and I am making another recipe from it, and this one is from Yotam Ottolenghi and Helen Go, and they have a recipe from their book, Sweet, which is called The World's Best Chocolate Cake. So it's got two sticks and 1.5 tablespoons of butter, and then I started adding the chocolate, but I didn't mean to add it so quickly, and I'm gonna add the rest of it. So it's 200 grams of chopped chocolate, and then I've got some boiling water that I'm going to, how much is that? We are gonna add 1.5 cups. And I've got a teaspoon and a half of instant coffee that I'm adding. So let's just put that all together. And I'm gonna pour that in here and whisk it all together. And I'm wearing a t-shirt that says Heavenly Hots. It is, you can buy this t-shirt in a bundle with the book on Food 52. Heavenly Hots is the name of a fantastic pancake recipe. They're called Heavenly Hots because they're these really small, delicate sour cream pancakes that are like these little puffs. And when they come out of the pan, you have to eat them right away. So that's why they're called Heavenly Hots, because you want to eat them while they're hot and heavenly. I added the coffee here. Just want to add a little tip, which is if you're using a metal bowl and you're adding the hot liquid, don't touch the bottom of the bowl like I just did, because it's really hot, but not in a heavenly way. Now, I am having a bad day. I feel terrible, and I also I'm having bad hair, bad face, bad everything. So I just put on a t-shirt that made me smile, and I'm making a cake because I thought that would cheer me up. What I like about this recipe is that you can do it all, it requires no equipment. Like there's a couple of spots where they're like, you can do this in your mixer, but don't even bother. Like you can basically whisk the whole thing. It's a cake that calls for a ganache glaze and also a whipped cream, but you don't have to do those two. You can just make the cake and like dust it with cocoa powder, and it's delicious and fantastic. It's not only called the world's best chocolate cake, but in London, when you get it at Ottolenghi shop, it's called take-home chocolate cake. And it's smaller, it's a smaller format, and it's made just so you have like the perfect size cake for 4 people. I love that. Okay, so we've got our chocolate all melted and mixed in here, and now what are we doing? Okay, then we're gonna whisk in the sugar by hand until it's dissolved. And this is 1.25 cups of sugar. And this recipe actually comes from Helen Go had a cafe in Melbourne called Mortar and Pestle. And I guess the cake became really popular there. And then she teamed up with Ottolenghi, and they've done they did this great book together. Okay, so we've got our sugar in there. Now we're gonna add 2 eggs, which I've let come to room temperature. And by the way, that butter was really room temperature soft, and you should definitely make sure that yours is too, because that will help everything melt together nicely. And you could even cut it into smaller chunks. I just did the whole, it was so soft that I didn't bother to cut it. Oh, now don't do that. Okay. Thankfully I'm wearing a black t-shirt, otherwise it would be covered with brown speckles. Okay, so I'm whisking in my eggs. I guess I was supposed to beat the eggs slightly before they went in, but I didn't. So I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And then we are almost about to put this in the oven. That's how quick this cake is. Now I'm going to sift the flour. I've got flour and actually 1.5 teaspoons of salt here. Here we go. And now I'm gonna add cocoa powder. And I'm just gonna whisk it together here. You're supposed to sift it, but not happening. This is my version of sifting. Sifting in a hurry. Sifting it. I have a meeting in a few minutes, so. And then I'm gonna whisk this into the melted chocolate mixture. And the batter is supposed to be very liquid. So I'm gonna put a damp cloth here so that it doesn't jump around. This is one of many, I should say, really good chocolate cake recipes in the Times Cookbook. And I included a bunch because there's a lot of different kinds of chocolate cake. There's like flourless chocolate cake, there's kind of fudgy chocolate cakes, there's chocolate cakes with layers. And you know, in a book with 1,200 recipes, one chocolate cake is just not gonna do. So, all right, I am whisking because I've been smelling cocoa dust. I'm now gonna be smelling, my life is gonna smell like chocolate for the rest of the day, which maybe is gonna be a big improvement on my day. Okay, so I'm gonna add that. All right, and then I'm gonna whisk it until it's smooth. And then I've got a 9-inch cake pan right here that I have buttered really heavily and lined with parchment. I have the oven heated to 350. And I'm just gonna pour this in. Make sure I don't leave any bits behind. Now watch this, this goes actually into the oven. It bakes for an hour until a skewer inserted in the center comes out clean or with just a few dry crumbs attached. All right, and it might have a crust and it might crack a little, and and Ottolenghi and Go say that is okay. So here we go. The buzzer's gone off, and I just want to show you, so the cake is allowed, it's not bad to have a crack on the top. So I'm going to take it out, I'm going to let it cool, and then I'm going to take it out of the pan. And we'll finish it up later. All right, it has reached that time of day where I'm going to be making ganache while I enjoy my beer mission, which is a Hitachino white ale. All right, so for our ganache, we've got 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream. Okay, so I've got my my cream in here, and I'm adding would be helpful if I showed you what I was doing, a tablespoon of light corn syrup, and I'm gonna bring this to a simmer, okay? So you are supposed to bring this off of the heat as soon as the bubbles start forming around the edges and before it comes to a full boil. And then I'm gonna dump in the chocolate. You can see it starts to melt and emulsify. And I'm doing this right in the pan so that it takes advantage of the heat of the pan. Ooh, look at that, can you see that? It's like this brown spot just starts emerging and then grows to the edges. I do like making a ganache, it must be said. All right, now I'm going to add a tablespoon of butter, which, truth be told, should not be as cold as this one. So I'm gonna break it up into little lumps so that it melts properly. And then we're gonna pour it over the cake, which I'm gonna unmold. Unmold the cake here. I put it on I'm gonna put it on a baking rack so that the ganache can drop around the sides. So here is our lovely world's best chocolate cake, and I'm gonna unmold it. I'm gonna do it this way. It doesn't really say which way, it just says to take the parchment off, so I'm assuming that that's the way to go so that you can get a nice smooth top. Give it one last stir. And then, woo, most fun part is pouring this very, soft. I don't know if I'm gonna add too much. I don't think it really needs a ton. So I'm just gonna sort of nudge it to the edges. All right, here we go. It's going over the edge. Oh, this is fun. All right, so I guess you do sort of need all of it after all. I was being a little thrifty with my ganache. What's up with that? Okay. All right, so then let's just smooth that out. Just gonna make is it going all the way around? Just a little bit more over there. I am going to let this sit until we are going to eat it, which is going to be after dinner. And in the meantime, I'm gonna make the mascarpone espresso cinnamon mascarpone cream. We are about to make my favorite kind of recipe, which is to pour a bunch of things into a bowl and then just whisk like heck. Okay, so that's heavy cream. This is mascarpone, instant espresso. I've got cinnamon. And of course, many of these are kind of to taste, and this is confectioner's sugar. It calls for a scraped vanilla bean, but all of my vanilla beans were just totally dried out. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of vanilla extract here. All right, and then I'm gonna slowly incorporate these, and then I'm gonna whisk a lot, which I think is gonna feel like good release, stress release. We're having salad niçoise, if you were wondering. And I think salad niçoise followed by chocolate cake. I approve. Don't you think that seems like a nice dinner? I'm slightly regretting my choice to do this by hand because I'm seeing that actually this is a lot of cream. So I'm gonna come back when I'm done. Here I am. I've given in and tucked a dish towel in so that I didn't get whipped cream all over me. And some of this may or may not have spilled out of the bowl while I was whipping because I got tired. But here you go. This is hand whipped whipped cream and mascarpone. It was not that hard. And I'm gonna let that sit, and we are gonna have that for dessert. And I am super excited to have a little salad followed by a really decadent cake. Time for my slice. Okay. Woo! That looks nice. Okay. Guest appearance by Addison Friend. Okay, I just want to show you. Can you see it? Can you see it? There's the world's best chocolate cake.
I closed it, look.
Okay. I should have taken it out of the oven 4 minutes sooner. Not so bad. It is really good. The mascarpone, worth the detour. I highly recommend. Okay, you ready? Want some? Just have a bite. Thank you. Thanks for joining.
Has spice. It has like this certain element. Where it's like, ooh, this is more than, don't pause it.
Okay.
This is more than a regular chocolate cake.
Yeah.